The second principle to try is to specify the format. Define what rules you want the AI to follow and set a required structure for the response. All right. So we're going to look at this for text models first, and then we're going to go on to images. We're looking for a list of 10 product names for a pair of shoes that can fit any foot size. And this works fine. If you wanted to engineer the response to make it more reliable at scale, if you're running this hundreds of thousands of times, like if you're making a product name generator that people can use, then you want to put a little bit more work into it. We've applied all the 5 principles to this prompt here. And specifically, we're going to look at how we specified format. So this is a product template if you want to grab it. But specifically in the format where we've said what we want is this section here. We said comma separated list. And all of the examples also provide a comma separated list. And we've also then told it we need 3 product names. We don't want a big list of 10 things. Now, the reason why this is important is that the response to a prompt isn't the end of the task typically. It's usually just the input of the next step in the chain, which could also be another prompt, or it could be a human-created task as well. And what impact on the results does it have? Depending on how you want the format, you could have it as a numbered list. This is if we change the prompt to have a numbered list, it comes out like this. But then if you're a developer and you're working on a product, you typically want the data to be structured in a way that you can parse it and use it in the next step, like displayed in the UI. So JSON is a very common mode. And in fact, it is actually a mode you can use in the OpenAI API and force it to return JSON. And then there's also YAML, which is more human readable, a little bit easier to parse in some cases. Whatever the data format you need, you can specify that. And one of the main things you want to do with prompt engineering is test different ways to make sure it always comes back with the required response format. So let's look at this in image models because it's a little bit different. We're going to look at Stable Diffusion. So this is prompting Stable Diffusion XL, and we can see, we have a shoe that fits any foot size, and that's fine. But you can see one of the responses it came back with was like a diagram. We actually want product photography. So how do we specify that? With a bit of prompt engineering, we have this prompt that is much more reliable in giving the same format back every time. And the part where we specified format specifically is if we go past the template here in this section here of the prompt. We have photography, extremely detailed, studio lighting, 3.5 millimeter DSLR. So this is a way for us to keep it very consistent. If we append this on the end of every prompt, then we're going to get a pretty consistent visual style every time. We've defined what rules we want it to follow. We've told it what sort of structure of the response comes back. And in image prompting, you can get a little bit complicated because sometimes the format also blurs into the style. If you use product photography, then that's going to necessitate certain types of style. And similarly, if you tell it you want a style of a painting, then it's going to clash with product photography. And sometimes you get unreliable results. So really a case of testing both the first principle and the second principle together and see which combination works well. Okay, let's look at the impact on results. Product photography is not the only thing we could do here. There's different types of product photography. So in this case, if we made it more of a model shoot, we wanted someone actually wearing it, we could achieve that. If we wanted streetwear, that's a different vibe entirely. And that you can see how it changes the style of the shoe as well alongside the format. So it takes some testing to get what you want in terms of your vision. And then the final one here is like Vogue magazine. You can see that we have the classic problem with AI where she's got 3 legs. Again, with AI, you need to test, you need to see how different changes to the prompt come back in terms of reliability of the results and then also the quality of the image. I think it's a very high quality image, but it's obviously AI given that she has 3 legs. Maybe that's part of the alien vibe. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, getting the right format back will help you achieve the final task. Because if you're using these images for a magazine shoot, or if you're using them on your website, or if you're using them on social media, you need to be able to specify what type of format you're expecting. Is it a model shoot? Do you actually want someone wearing these shoes? Or do you just want some product photography of the shoes themselves?